All right. Thank you, everybody. Good evening. Very happy to have you here with us this evening. We've got a lot to cover, and I trust you'll find it informative, helpful, hopefully perhaps a little inspirational, and set us off on a good foot forward from this evening on, or whatever time you might happen to be looking at the recording. Putting my phone on silent mode here. Hate when it goes off in the middle of a nice discussion. So, all right, NATF. We've got a lot of things to do, folks, and I'm sure the reason you're here is because you're very well aware what a desperate situation that we're in this country. And my whole point tonight, right off the bat, is to help people see how important it is that each one of us start contributing in some way. You know, we've got 1,600 people who've registered for the forum. And I would venture to say there's probably not more than a dozen who even show up once in a while and are actively engaged. And that's a pretty sad state of affairs. You know, we're in a desperate situation, and it's all hands on deck to fight off the enemy that we're facing. And you know, there is going to be no comfort zone if we let things get out of hand, and they're already out of hand. All right, so we're behind the curve on that. We've got ground to make up. Okay, so let me just jump right into a short presentation that I put together to kind of help us focus on what's important, and we'll go from there. So I will share my screen. So yeah, what really matters? You know, there are so many distractions, and people are spending time and energy on things that really don't matter, in my opinion. Okay, so we've really got to prioritize. None of us really has the luxury of having excess resources in terms of time or finances, to be able to squander, right? So we've got to really get down to our priorities, figure out what really matters. We've got to get real about that and start taking action. And there's so many things that we can do. All right, so let me share some ideas with you. Okay, so let's face reality. All right, I think we can see the result of what has happened, what is happening, what we're facing. We look at all levels of government are absolutely corrupt to the core. It's a de facto government. It's not a de jure government. You understand what that means. And those that are pulling the levers of power, it's clear, are intent on destroying America. That's the clear intent. It's not just by accident or incompetence, okay? They're destroying America so that they can bring in their new world order vision of utopia, where everyone is equal, everyone is happy, 3/4 of the population is dead, and the elite own and control everything and everyone. All right, that's the utopia that we're looking at. Okay, and so it's not just the fact that the government has bad people in it. Okay, we understand it's controlled by the unseen hand of the deep state. The deep state's trying to start a war with Russia right now. Okay. As a distraction for many other things and to serve many other purposes. You understand what's going on. We're not going to get into that, but it's not just the government. We know that the institutions of higher learning and all levels of education are basically run by Marxists, promoting racism and Marxism, and America is bad. And if you're a white male, you're basically a criminal and should be shunned. And, this critical race theory crap that they're teaching the kids. And the reason we're in this position, how half the population is is basically zombified is because of the educational system. It's been taken over by Marxists. And, we go right down the list. All these different elements of society have basically gone woke, and CRT and marching lockstep in line with the globalists. So it's across the board. All right. Now, if it was just replacing bad people in positions of power or influence, that would be one thing. We could do that if the people were intact with common sense, an understanding of history, an appreciation of freedoms and the price that's been paid so that we have those freedoms. But we don't have the people. We're not going to change the government because half the people or more are totally clueless, if not on the opposite side. They've been brainwashed, all right? So with these daunting forces in control of things, personally, I don't see a remedy. I don't see us changing it. It's not going back, okay? And that might be a good thing. That might be a good thing, and I'll tell you why, okay? Facing reality is one thing. Dealing with it is something altogether different, all right? What's the cause of these problems? Well, I think you will understand that, we've turned our backs on God. We've become a godless nation. We've basically says, God, we don't need you. We got this. We're in control. We want to do things our way. All right. And he says, okay, I've given you the freedom of choice and you've chosen. All right. You've made your bed. Now you have to lay in it. And here we are. Okay. This is one element that is glaringly absent from the public discourse. If you look at the founding documents for America, it's clear right up front that our founding fathers had a deep respect for God, the fact that he has blessed this land, given us these freedoms, given us this opportunity to reflect his blessings, and America became the most abundant and powerful nation in the world when it was founded on those pillars. All right, now the Marxist, or whatever you want to call them, globalists, elitists, Americans have knocked those pillars down, and we see the result. Okay, so we have to take this into consideration. All right, this isn't about religion. Okay, this has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with dealing with our Creator on a spiritual level. Religion is man-made, and personally, I think we all should shun all forms of religion, including Christianity, which has, many people are going to take offense to that, but it's been twisted and perverted, and most of the churches are not preaching the true gospel. They're not teaching what Jesus wanted us to learn. All right? So the way I look at it is Christianity is a man-made religion, and what we need to be doing is seeking the universal truths as taught by Jesus Christ. Okay, and he's given us so many different ways of learning these things. So we've made our bed, we have to live in it, and we're not going to do anything unless we turn back to God. It's just that simple. Now, I pay very close attention to dreams, visions, and prophecies that he's pouring out among the people across the land. And the common denominator is basically that the sins of the United States of America have been heaped so high that the only way he's going to get our attention to come back to him is basically to let it burn to the ground. All right. And now that we understand what it is, what it's become, we don't want to go back to the way it was, because it's been corrupt to the core for many, many years. All right. So the fact that the country as it is, corrupt, sinful, taking advantage of the poor, abusing the law, you know, the long list that's out there. In order for us to see a better world, this needs to burn to the ground. So what do? That's what we need to focus and talk about and bring up in the realms of discussion. Okay. So this is a critical element that we have to get back to. Man does not have the answer without God. If we're with him, he'll provide us the answers that we need. He'll give us the provisions that we need. Okay. So whatever your spiritual inclinations are, don't be offended. We all have the same creator. There is only one God consciousness that exists. All right. And many people call him many different things. But yet we're blessed to have the teachings of Jesus to show us the path and to show us the way. Okay. So we've got to incorporate that in anything and everything we do. If not, you know, we're just basically pissing in the wind, as people say. Okay. So we're dealing with a fractured nation right now. All right. There's a deep divide between people like us and those who are totally clueless or corrupt or just downright evil to begin with. Okay. So the nation is fracturing into different segments. You know, there's a large group in California that was wanting to form their own new California. Texas has been talking more and more lately about seceding from the nation and telling Washington, D.C. to go take a hike. And there's more and more talk about that. So we're seeing the nation fracture into splintered groups, politically and otherwise. And what this is leading to is a form of tribalism. Okay. And that's not necessarily all bad. People of a like mind are going to come together. They're going to associate with each other. People with common values will find ways to relate to each other with the values that they can accept and live with and respect for each other. And that's the way the world has been from the beginning. You know, different nations with different languages, different cultures, different customs. All right. That's a form of tribalism. And we're seeing that happen in the United States. Okay. And this is important to understand. You know, every election you hear the new president. Well, after a fractious election season, I want to unite the country. We want to unite the country and bring people together. Forget about it. It ain't going to happen. The way things have gotten so extreme, we're not going to be united. So as a fractured nation, we have to accept this fact and start rebuilding from the ground up. We need to find our own tribe and start building our own society with that tribe, regardless of what goes on in the nation. Okay. Now, I know there's a lot of people going to take offense to that, but this is the reality. And we could argue this up one side and down the other, but this is just the reality and the way it is. So we have to deal with that reality. So you may be familiar with Alexis de Tocqueville. He was a diplomat, an author, a philosopher, and many other things. He wrote the book, Democracy in America. I highly recommend people read that. It's very enlightening. In 1835 was when he wrote that book, and gives us this quote: "I know of no country in which there is so little independence of mind, in other words, critical thinking, and real freedom of discussion as in America." Well, if you didn't know better, you'd probably say that quote was probably taken from some pundit today, right? I mean, how many people have such little independence of mind or critical thinking ability? They just follow the crowd. They do what they're told. You know, they just accept whatever's put into their brain, and that's the facts. and they won't entertain any other facts. They don't have independence of mind. They won't look at the facts of the matter to change their mind, to be open to changing their mind in view of the facts. All right. But 1835, he was saying this. I find that amazing. Okay. And it's just that much worse today, of course. Okay. So this is what we're dealing with. There are large segments of the population which will not accept any facts into their realm of thinking to change their ideology or their opinion on something. All right. And you know those people. You probably have them in your family. I have them in my family. They don't care what I say or what reasoning I have or why I think like I do. I'm just a lunatic. All right. And I'm sure you've had the same experience. So we have to recognize these people and don't waste our time on them. They're lost. They're gone. You're not going to change their mind. They do not have critical thinking ability. All right. So my point is, we have to focus our time on those who at least are open to an honest discussion. Maybe they don't understand things correctly, but if you present them the facts, they go, "Oh, really? Is that so?" Or, where could I find that information? Who says that? What's the source? They're inquisitive about maybe some of the facts you're trying to present them. At least they're open. Okay. You can identify that very quickly. That's someone who we could have a little hope in. And then, of course, there are those like us who have a clear understanding of what's going on and are actively engaged in trying to counteract that or to deal with it in the most productive way possible. So we have to rebuild the social fabric. It's been torn. It's been ripped to pieces. There is no common value in our society anymore. Respect for each other, love for your brother, help your neighbor, respect for other people's property, respect for other people's opinions, having honest discussions and debates in society. That doesn't exist anymore. So our social fabric has been ripped. And what we need to do is we need to find like-minded individuals starting on a local level and start rebuilding this social fabric, building relationships, sharing information, establishing common goals and objectives, working together on community projects, the food co-op or, whatever the case might be. All right. So in other words, we need to find our tribe and build our tribe and deal with people who think like us and share the values that we have. All right. We can reach out to those who might have an open mind. And for that, 30 to 40% of the people out there that are just stuck in the mud and are closed-minded, you have to leave them behind. And like I said, that could be family members because there's no getting through to them. And all you're going to do by trying to force the facts on these kind of people is you're going to create conflict and animosity. And that doesn't lead to anything positive. So don't bother. All right. So that's an important point. So this is, I think, where we need to go. So what's National Action Task Force all about? Let's just review this and get this set in our mind. All right. We are national in scope, but local in focus. All right. Action is what's required to get results. We've got far too many people in our forum who are sitting on their haunches thinking that sharing videos is going to, result in something. It's great to be informed, and it's great that we can inform each others, but sharing videos, as important as that may be, doesn't get results. All right. We need to go beyond that. We need to be engaged in taking action in some way, shape, or form if we're going to survive what's coming. Things are not normal. They're not going back to normal. And society is about ready to collapse if it isn't already. Okay. I would say it already is. It's in slow motion and it's accelerating, all right, to a complete meltdown. So we need to take action just for survival purposes, personal survival. All right. So in that context, tasks are delegated to match skills and resources for each member. Okay. We all have different skills, different resources, time, money, expertise, knowledge in certain areas, contacts and networks that we can tap into. We all have something to bring to the table. And so what our job is to work with you through our state coordinators and team leaders on different projects, and to find out where exactly is the best fit for you. You know, what not only are you comfortable with, but what are you capable of, even if you're not comfortable with it. Okay, this is not a time to be comfortable, because if we don't do anything, none of us are going to be comfortable. Okay, we've got to stretch and reach outside of our comfort zone to start doing things that are bold and direct and effective, whether that be out in the open or kind of working behind the scenes. There's so much that needs to be done. And if you've seen any of the materials in our topic in the menu, new members start here, you already know a lot of those things that are available for you to do. And if not, we can help you if you're a new member. Okay. So with those things combined, we become a force for change. And that's the result. We need a change. We're in desperate need for change, but it ain't going to happen if we can't start working together, get engaged, take action, and find out what tasks that you can provide to contribute to the overall effort. Okay, so these are all important things. All right, so we are a force to be reckoned with. I'm talking about the silent majority, not just NATF. NATF is just one small segment of the overall silent majority, which is rising up. I mean, there are different groups and efforts coming from all angles, popping up all over the place, and God bless them all. Okay, but we're not silent anymore. We are a force. I know it's easy to think, well, it's just little old me. I don't want to stick my neck out to be persecuted or rock the boat. We have to get over that, because by doing nothing, you're going to achieve the most fearful thing that you're concerned about. Okay. The steamroller is on its way, headed right towards you. And if you don't do something, take action, get out of the way, you're going to be under the steamroller. Okay. It's coming no matter what. So we have to remember, freedom is not handed to anyone. And each one of us must stand and defend it. Okay. It's a personal responsibility. And each of us has an obligation to contribute to that effort in some way. Okay. For some, it's greater than others. Okay. So bear that in mind. Now, each of us is required to play a role here. All right. We've got to, first of all, find, build, organize, or join a group or organization where you can contribute with commitment, not just have occasional social gatherings when you feel like it. Okay. That's a problem that a lot of people have. We've lost our sense of what it means to make a commitment, a personal commitment that, come hell or high water, as my dad would always say, that you can be counted on to fulfill your commitment. Okay. Now there's, like I said, there's all kinds of groups out there. We'd like you to start building a local chapter. All right. Start showing people what NATF is doing, what the benefits are, the education that we have, the organization that we have, the knowledge, the expertise, the solutions. We've got answers to many things here. All right. We'd like you to start building your own chapter on a local basis. But if that's not in the cards for any reason, go join another group, find another group that's active. Okay. And there's plenty of them. Get involved with them. So that's important, that we start networking and collaborating with other people so that you're not alone. You are going to need a support group. The way things are going, if you're on your own, you're probably not going to make it. And I'm just talking about survival. You're probably not going to make it. Okay. We've got to be active in building communities, building these networks, getting with our tribe. For example, you become a part of something which ends up being much bigger than yourself. Okay. And all of a sudden you feel empowered. Say, hey, it's not just me anymore. I'm involved with this group and they can help me with this. They can help me with that. And then this other group that we relate to, they've got resources for this other thing. All right. And all of a sudden become a part of something that has a lot of solutions for you in your life. Okay. We're going to need that sense of community. Okay. And I can relate to this, this image, this diagram, in terms of what we're doing in NATF. Okay. Let's say we've got a team strictly devoted to legal issues. All right. And then we've got another team that's strictly devoted to what I want to start. You've seen my post, is child protective services and child trafficking, which is sponsored by the government. And we've got another group that's specialized in teaching people how to grow food on their kitchen patio in their 10th floor high rise. Okay. And you get the idea. What's your area of interest? What's your area of expertise? Let's develop a group in that area. Focus on that. Focus on what you love, what you're good at. All right. And just specialize in that. And as we develop these different specialties, these groups of specialists together, we become really something quite substantial in terms of a national organization. This needs to be done on a local basis and as well on a national basis. Okay, so you get the idea. So you and your specialized group then contribute and become a part of a much bigger and more powerful organization as a result of the collective force that's made up of individual contributions. Okay. But if we have people just sitting back and watching videos, this ain't going to happen. And the results aren't going to be there, and you're going to be on your own. Plain and simple. Okay. So we've got to engage. So here's what we do. All right. You're all already a part of the forum. That's great. Check in on a daily basis. There's a lot of information going through there that you probably need to know about. And start networking with other members. Develop new friendships, new contacts. Find out who's in your area. Start developing your local area. There's so many ways to use the forum. If nothing else, just for your own personal empowerment. If you can learn something new every day, the days fly by in a flash. And if you can learn something new every day, it won't be long when you will be significantly empowered compared to where you were when you first joined. Okay, so check in frequently if you can on a daily basis. And when you see a post that you like, give a like to the person who posted it so they know that what they did had a positive effect on somebody. Give a little love back to the person posting it. That's always a nice thing to do. All right. So then you need to communicate with your state coordinator and agree on a plan of action to help build up your state. Maybe you can work with that state coordinator to start doing some things just on a general level that need to be done for that state. It might be doing some research on the open records laws or how public officials are bonded in that state and where the insurance comes from. Things like that need to be done for each state. So we have a basis of legal research that other people can draw on. Okay. And from that point, then we start working on a local basis. And as new members come in, that state coordinator might put you in touch with other folks in your local area. All right. But it should be a collaborative effort working with your state coordinator. Now, there's a number of states we don't have a state coordinator yet. So if you need one and there's one not available, then volunteer, at least on a temporary basis. A state coordinator basically is just a networker, putting people together, doing a little bit of research, organizing things, making a list of priorities. And as new people come into the state and want to volunteer, he's got a list of those tasks that can be delegated. And all of a sudden, you've got a team working on your state that's building up some really good information on how things work in your state, which will tell you how to do things. Okay? So you probably already know to look in the featured articles section in the forum for the article called 10 Ways to Make a Difference. You've probably already seen that. If not, please do. And use that as a guide for being an active supporter. There's a list of, actually it's more than 10, different things you can do to be an active supporter and contribute. So that could kind of create the framework of what your local plan is going to be. All right. So then go to topics and make sure that you've gone through all the materials in the topic called New Members Start Here. Can't be any more obvious. A lot of good information in there. It's going to give you a good perspective what NATF is all about and some of the inner workings and just a lot of important foundational stuff. So everybody needs to have that as their basis of understanding. Okay. So with those things under your belt, you're in a good position then to really start making a difference, to really be a contributing member that is going to help move this organization and everybody involved with it forward. Okay. So keep your eyes open for requests for volunteers. Those are coming out frequently, and sadly, we get very little, if any, response. That needs to change. Okay. Just a couple of days ago, we put out a request for 2 or 3 people to help head up a team to deal with child trafficking and CPS. That's a horrific, horrific crime being committed every day. And all these 2 or 3 volunteers need to do, you don't need to be an expert in it or have knowledge in any of these things. But all we want you to do is to research who is doing something about this out there in the world. Who are the experts, the specialists, all right, the people that are making a difference in these areas? What are they doing? How is it working? How can we learn to do the same things and develop our own plans and systems based on what we can learn from them? What can we do to help them, perhaps, with volunteers? We have no problem helping other people do their thing if it's working, right? So you need to understand right off the bat that NATF is not here to build turf or to build a brand, okay? As much as we would like to have that national recognition, when people see NATF, they go, oh, you're a member of NATF, okay. And, certain people might have a certain level of respect for that. But if it means that we need to help other people and other groups do what they're doing effectively, then let's do that. Okay, so it's not about NATF. It's about getting results and saving this damn country and the people in it. Okay, so please keep your eyes open for requests, and we need volunteers. That's all I can say. We need them. All right, so back to the previous slide. Your power lies in your spirit. And as you learn to develop a relationship with our Creator, you will start uncovering amazing power that you probably never knew that you had. It's power that's within you. It's not from you. It's not your power. It's the power of the Spirit that you can tap into to make things happen. All right. And once you have this power, your fear dissipates. You know, it's common knowledge in many circles that if you have strong enough faith that you stand under the protection and the providence of our Creator, that you have no reason to fear anything. And you probably heard it said before, there is no man on earth who is more dangerous than a man who has no fear, who's not afraid for his life. Okay? And that's where we want to be. And when you can get to that point, I'll tell you, that internal power projects without saying anything. People can sense that in your spirit. And you can scare the hell out of some people by simply projecting that power. I've got many personal experiences I could relate, but just give you one example about projecting your spirit. I'm a dog lover. And those of you who own dogs, you probably very well know that without saying or doing anything, a dog can sense your spirit. And based on what your spirit is, will determine what reaction that dog has to you. Someone who's afraid of dogs, who has fear, that dog is going to be aggressive and ornery. Okay? One who has no fear, I'll give you an example. I was getting out of my car in a parking lot. There was a pickup truck with this big, old, nasty looking dog. I don't even know what kind it was. It was a huge dog, looked like a miniature horse, and was barking at me like he wanted to tear my head off. I got out of my car right next to it. And I walked up to that dog, started talking to him. He sensed my spirit. He immediately calmed down and let me pet him. And all of a sudden we were friends. Without saying a word or doing anything, that dog sensed my spirit. And people do the same. All right. You've had the experience where you've met somebody and something just didn't sit right with you, with that person. You know what I'm talking about. All right. So part of our task is to develop in the spirit so that we have that level of fearlessness in the projection of peace and love on others. And we can actually create outcomes with that. All right. So I'm not going to get into a long sermon on that. Now, I've created World Mission Church just for this purpose. And if you go to the website, you'll see that the primary theme is Come Out of Babylon. And so there's a lot of really good resources there for those that might be looking for resources. You may already have your own sources for this type of thing, and that's fine. Okay. But World Mission Church is here to help in that respect. And the whole idea here is to help people come out of Babylon. All right. So basically what that means is when you come out of Babylon, when you come out of the system, you're going to leave some things behind. That means you're probably going to have to leave that corporate job behind. You might have to leave that Social Security number behind, or your driver's license, or maybe a monthly disability check from, the veterans, or some benefits. So the question is, all right, many people are just mentally conditioned. Well, I can't leave those things behind. I need those. I need my Social Security check. I need my insurance. Well, what if we created a society where we had alternatives to all that? That's the idea, creating alternatives to come out of Babylon and come into freedom where we can build our own community and take care of ourselves, because that's the direction we're headed, folks. You're not going to have a choice. before long, you're going to need to either, take the chip, take the jab, take whatever they want to put in you if you want to go to the grocery store or have a doctor's visit or go to school or go to the theater. You're not going to be able to do anything if you don't compromise and sell your soul to the devil. So get ready for that decision. It's coming. And it may not be voluntary. It's not going to be at some point in time very soon. So this is what World Mission Church was created to do, is to help build these systems, networks, and communities that can be self-sustaining without participating in the Babylonian system. Now, as modern events would have it, just today, I found out that, guess what? Our site, just this afternoon, has not only had this warning pop up when you try to go to the site, but the site itself has literally been taken down. This warning, deceptive site ahead, look at this. Advisory provided by Google Safe Browsing. And this is from a Firefox browser. Well, I never signed up for Google Safe Browsing. Now, usually when you see these warnings, you can go to see details, and like you can see in the white box down below, you can ignore the risk and go to this, as they label, unsafe site. All right, so normally you can bypass this and click that option and go to the site. Well, no, you can't, because the site is taken down, it's blocked, totally censored, removed from the internet, as far as I can tell. I haven't heard from my hosting provider yet to see what can be done, and I expect we'll be able to somehow fix this, but this is what we're dealing with, okay? So a website teaching people how to get out of the system has been removed from the internet for the time being. So don't try to go there, or if, well, you might, depending on when you see this, hopefully it'll be fixed by then, but this gives you an idea what we're up against. Okay, on the lower left, this page isn't working. That's the notice I get from my Brave browser. Firefox and Chrome basically are all the same. Okay, so this is the world that we're dealing with. Hopefully that'll be up before long. I'll let you know in the forum when it is, but I wanted you to know what World Mission Church is all about. Probably the most prominent item on the home page of the website was this video. And you can still see the video, and I encourage you to do that on the Exit Babylon YouTube channel. Look for this video, Wake Up, and it's in, what's the playlist? Gosh, I don't recall offhand, but you'll find it. But this talks about building an alternative society where it can be self-supporting, okay? So if you're interested in that kind of thing, I get into more details here in this video, all right? And it's what I'm proposing is a gargantuan task, but it can be done if everyone finds their role, participates, and makes it happen, okay? So that's the idea there. All right, so there we are. I've kind of laid out the harsh reality that we're looking at, and I'm sure some people would contend with that, perhaps with a more optimistic view, but the prophecies and visions that are coming out basically are saying this. I'll share with you, and this isn't coming from me. This is basically coming from none other than our Creator himself, who is giving warnings to people through their dreams and visions. And if you'd like some sources on that, I could give you plenty. But the message is this, is that the sins that have been piled up in the USA have been piled up so high that at this point, the only option is for us to go headlong into tribulations. All right. Now, some of us have a strong hope for a pre-trib rapture, and I'm one of those. But there's no telling what we're going to have to endure before that, if it happens. And if it doesn't, we need to be ready. All right. So there is no turning back for America. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of our own. First of all, take care of our own souls, get right with God, and then start doing what we can to build our own alternate systems in our own communities. All right. Now, that doesn't mean we give up on the playing field, of local politics and that type of thing. We continue strong with that, and we stand on righteousness. No matter what happens, we stand on righteousness. We stand on the Constitution, the Bible, no matter what happens. And we push back whenever we see corruption and injustice. And we serve these notices and demands on public officials. And we push back on that type of corruption, evil, and crime wherever we see it. So we don't let up in those areas. But we also have to have this parallel activity on the spiritual realm and coming out of Babylon. So that's my take on that. And with that, I will stop the sharing and entertain any comments or questions before I turn it over to Deanne.